welcome to this episode of the weekly News Roundup. A powerful earthquake measuring 8.8 on the Richter scale has struck off Russia's far eastern Kamchatka Peninsula and has triggered tsunami warnings in Japan and several states in the western United States, including Hawaii, Alaska, and California. The earthquake, which hit near Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula at about 11:25 a.m. local time on Wednesday, is believed to be one of the most powerful ever recorded. Millions of people have been ordered to evacuate in Japan, Russia, and some parts of the US West Coast. We bring you this report. The earthquake, which struck early Wednesday, triggered evacuation orders in Hawaii and Japan. The US Coast Guard also ordered commercial vessels in harbors in Hawaii to evacuate. In Japan, 1.9 million people have been told to evacuate, and a tsunami wave of 4.3 feet has reached the northern Iwate prefecture, according to the country's weather agency. The first waves, triggered by the massive earthquake off Russia's coast, have reached Hawaii, with a 4-foot wave recorded off Oahu. In a message posted on social media, US President Donald Trump urged people to stay strong and stay safe, and to monitor updates on the tsunami.gov online dashboard. In latest news coming in, after the initial tsunami waves had washed ashore in Hawaii and along the west coast, officials with the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center reduced the alert level for the Hawaiian Islands to a tsunami advisory. Local officials said that evacuees who'd moved to higher ground on the islands could begin returning. In other news, Japan has evacuated the Fukushima nuclear plant. No injuries have so far been reported. The Tokyo Electric Power Company said the move had been taken to ensure absolute safety. Tsunami waves that crashed into the Russian Pacific town of Severokurilsk exceeded 9.8 feet in height, and the most powerful was as big as 16.4 feet. According to the news agency, the town's port area and a fish factory were flooded by 4 tsunami waves that followed a magnitude 8.8 earthquake that hit the Russian far east coast. A state of emergency has been declared in the area, the agency added. We move now to the Thailand-Cambodia conflict, where Cambodia has called for an immediate ceasefire with Thailand, as the two countries have seen more than 30 people killed, including civilians, in the ongoing border clashes. Cambodia's ambassador to the UN, Chia Keo, said his country asked for a truce unconditionally, adding that Phnom Penh also wanted a peaceful solution to the dispute. Thailand has not publicly commented on the proposal while rejecting third-party mediation. It earlier declared martial law in 8 districts bordering Cambodia. At least 32 people, soldiers and civilians, have been killed and nearly 2 lakh people displaced in the 2 Southeast Asian countries, who accused each other of firing the first shots last Thursday. We bring you this report. Thailand and Cambodia have each accused the other of firing the first shots last Thursday. Thailand claims the clash began with Cambodia's military deploying drones to conduct surveillance of Thai troops near the border. Cambodia says Thai soldiers initiated the conflict when they violated a prior agreement by advancing on a Khmer Hindu temple near the border. On Saturday, Thailand's military said the Cambodians launched attacks in a new area near the coast in the south, but were pushed back by the Navy. Earlier, Thailand reported fighting in its Surin, Ubon Ratchathani and Sri Saket provinces along the border with Cambodia. Officials in Bangkok said 19 people, 13 civilians and 6 soldiers have been killed in the country. Thai officials said that nearly 140,000 people have been evacuated. Cambodia's defense ministry has reported 13 killed, 8 civilians and 5 soldiers. Cambodian officials say that more than 35,000 people have fled their homes. The dispute between the two countries dates back to more than 100 years ago, when the borders of the two nations were drawn after the French occupation of Cambodia. The latest tensions ramped up in May after a Cambodian soldier was killed in a clash. This plunged bilateral ties to their lowest point in more than a decade. At a sports complex that was converted into an evacuation center in Thailand's Surin province, evacuees, many of them children and elderly, said they were still shaken by the rocket and artillery attacks they witnessed on Thursday. Older evacuees who had lived through bombardments during the Cambodian Civil War of the 1980s said the recent fighting was the worst they had experienced. Thailand's leader has warned that clashes between Thailand and Cambodia, which have killed at least 16 people and displaced tens of thousands in both countries, could move towards war. Acting Prime Minister Phumtham Vechsathai added that the fighting now included heavy weapons and had spread to 12 locations along the border. Thailand also accused Cambodia of firing into civilian areas and evacuated all villages deemed to be within the radius of its rockets. Cambodia, for its part, accused Thailand of using cluster munitions. Cluster munitions are banned in much of the world because of their indiscriminate effect on civilian populations. Thailand has not responded to the allegations. A fierce tropical storm has torn through the Philippines' mountainous north in a week which has already seen floods and landslides claim at least 25 lives. Typhoon Kome struck the town of Agno in Pangasinan province with winds reaching speeds of 120 kilometers per hour. By Friday afternoon, as it moved northeast, the typhoon had weakened slightly. Kome struck after seasonal monsoon rains drenched a vast part of the country for over a week. More than a dozen additional tropical storms are expected to strike the Southeast Asian nation before the end of the year, forecasts show. At least 25 deaths have been reported since last weekend, mostly due to flash floods, toppled trees, landslides, and electrocution, according to officials. A further 8 people have been reported missing. We bring you this report. Schools in the capital Manila remain closed for the third consecutive day on Friday, with classes also suspended in 35 provinces across the main northern region of Luzon. Over 80 towns and cities, mostly in Luzon, have declared a state of calamity, enabling quicker access to emergency funds and the freezing of prices on essential goods. The weather has forced 278,000 people to seek refuge in emergency shelters or with relatives. According to the government's disaster response agency, close to 3,000 homes have suffered damage. Thousands of military personnel, police officers, Coast Guard members, firefighters, and civilian volunteers have been deployed to assist in rescuing residents. Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. visited emergency shelters on Thursday in Rizal province to help distribute food packs to displaced residents. He said, "Everything has changed." He subsequently called an emergency meeting with disaster response officials, warning that both the government and the public need to adapt to the increasing frequency and unpredictability of natural disasters due to climate change. The United States, Manila's longtime treaty ally, has pledged to provide military aircraft to airlift food and other aid to remote island provinces and the countryside if the calamity worsens, the Philippines military said. The US has also said it will provide $250,000 in funding to the UN World Food Programme to help the Philippine government's response. The Philippines, which lies between the Pacific Ocean and the South China Seas, is battered by about 20 typhoons and storms each year. It's often hit by earthquakes and has about 24 active volcanoes, making it one of the world's most disaster-prone countries. We move now to the world of chess, and in a tremendous achievement, Indian chess recorded yet another great moment last Monday as Divya Deshmukh won the Women's World Cup in the Georgian city of Batumi. In the final, the 19-year-old defeated fellow Indian Koneru Hampi in the tiebreakers. While Hampi contesting the final wasn't much of a surprise, as she is the world number 5 and has been one of the best female players for the last couple of decades. Not many would have anticipated Divya's stunning show. But given her obvious talent and the way she has been playing for the last 2 years, it didn't come as a big surprise. By winning the World Cup, one of the biggest events organized by the World Chess Governing Body, the FIDE, Divya also achieved another significant milestone. She became India's 88th Grandmaster and is only the 4th Indian woman after Koneru Hampi, D. Harika and R. Vaishali to get that coveted title. Last year, Divya had won the World Junior Championship in Ahmedabad with a dominant display. She also played a key role in India's historic gold in the Chess Olympiad at Budapest. We bring you this report. Divya is now one of the most exciting young talents in international women's chess. The latest proof came at Batumi in Georgia, where she became the first Indian woman to win the Chess World Cup. In an all-Indian final, she defeated the much more experienced, higher-rated Koneru Hampi. After both the classical games were drawn, the title had to be decided in the tiebreaker games played with shorter time controls. The first game was drawn in 81 moves. Divya had white pieces and she ensured half a point through perpetual checks with her queen. The second game, in which Divya had black pieces, was wilder, with both players making significant mistakes. On the 42nd move, an unwise pawn push down the center by Hampi had given Divya a clear advantage. But Divya returned the compliment just a move later, going for a pawn exchange, instead of which she should have played her rook on the back rank. So it looked like the point in the second game would also be shared. On the 54th move, however, Hampi went for a pawn capture with her rook and black got the advantage back. But Divya failed to capitalize once again. Hampi's 69th move with her pawn on the king side proved fatal though. Divya made no mistake. When black's extra pawn reached the penultimate rank, threatening to turn into queen, Hampi extended her hand and conceded defeat. It was a significant moment for Indian chess. Divya's right hand went to her face, and there would be tears of joy. She, however, forced a smile as FIDE President Arkady Dvorkovich came up to her and congratulated her. A little later, all her pent-up tears came out, as did her mother's. Namrata Deshmukh had sacrificed her career as a gynecologist for the sake of her daughter's career. It hasn't been easy for the family, with Divya not having a sponsor, and chess, contrary to popular belief, is an expensive sport, as you need to travel around the world and quality coaches do not come cheap. The prize money from the World Cup will come in handy though. She has become richer by $50,000. This isn't the only thing that will make her smile. By winning the World Cup, she has become India's 88th Grandmaster and only the 4th woman from the country to do so after Hampi, D. Harika and R. Vaishali. She, along with Hampi, has also qualified for the Candidates Tournament. This will be a tournament to remember for India's women. Thanks so much for watching this episode. Until we meet next time, stay blessed.